Okay, yeah, I was totally distracted there trying to figure out the points difference. I totally screwed up our spreadsheet, but Elinori's fixing it, I think, for me. So we have the final match of the EVNT Championship first season. We have Hoodie Mafia, team captain for the other team, going to be picking Red, and Team Battle Dog, team captain for Team Johnny, picking Blue. Um, the banning is just about to start now. I predict we'll have quite a rapid pick ban session as both the teams are ready for this.
Yeah, this match is huge. It's going to decide very likely who wins this whole tournament, and yeah, we'll see where the first ban is. There you go, Apocalypse from the other team. Not a huge surprise there.
Not a huge surprise. It's usually Oracle, Apocalypse, sometimes a Hyperion in that slot banned out. Johnny banning the Tempest. That's curious. We've seen the other team bring the Tempest last time and almost win, but not quite. So yeah, I guess they don't like it in the hands of Hoodie Mafia's team.
Armageddon, the second ban for the other team, trying to clear out some of the Amarian armor options, get them out of the way. Maybe counting on an Oracle ban in their third ban later on.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. They've been using the Osprey quite heavily to the other team, and the long range nukes of the Armageddon really give the Osprey a headache, which is so I think it's the reason they've been banning out the Armageddon pretty often. Team Johnny banning out the Ogre there. Probably going to go Execra then, although Execra still hasn't got a great win rate. The teams still keep clinging to it, though. We'll see what happens here. The other team going for the Merlin, clearly wanting to pick the shield setup. They fondly love the Caldari setup, and Johnny going for Punisher.
Yeah, Punisher, obvious choice if you're going with an armor team, and Dragoon, a little bit less common for Team Johnny in the Destroyer slot.
That is unusual. We have seen the Dragoon, I believe, quite far back at the beginning of the season, but we haven't seen it since. I think we've only seen it once. It counts as the E-War pick for your team, so you're only allowed one ship that's classed as an E-War ship, a ship that has hull bonuses to E-War. So that means that they can't pick Blackbird, they can't pick, well, Armageddon's already banned, they can't pick Scorpion, so that is their E-War pick. And they're sporting there with the Execra as predicted.
You made them use an E-War pick for a one Newt Dragoon, did you? Or one Nos Dragoon?
I did, and they all complained about it. Rightfully so. The Dragoon is, I hold my hands up, probably the worst fitting of this championship, and it's kind of so I'm very surprised that Team Johnny is here. They've probably got a lot more faith in it than I have.
It'll be a tankier version of the Algos, a little bit less drone bandwidth, but a pretty solid armor tank. So I mean, yeah, I definitely say it would be a bit more useful if we could have found a way to get some more newts onto it, though. Roke banned for Team Johnny, trying to eliminate one of these remaining shield battleships. We'll see where the other team bans next for their battleship battlecruiser one.
Yep. It'd be interesting to see what the other team picks. I'm gonna guess they're gonna probably remove Hyperion from the mix if they want Raven, but then Rogue and Tempest are banned, so I'm gonna guess they're gonna go for Raven here. But that's gonna totally throw their game plan because they're not used to having a Raven open.
That I assume is a misclick because they banned a ship that Johnny can't use anymore because they've already picked their cruiser.
That is almost certainly a misclick. Or
wow, that
possibly
could be
a
potentially...
random pick. I didn't count the seconds, but if the time runs out, then the tool automatically randomly picks. Now I know Hoodie Mafia has had a couple of issues here with his browser with the tool, so we might have to finish this one off manually. If Equalizer could communicate that to the teams, that we'd be happy to finish this pick ban session manually, even though that's not ideal.
Yeah, we're getting some reports in TeamSpeak chat here that the tool is having some issues, so we'll just go ahead and do that, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going back to the Dragoon while we wait for this situation to be resolved. Apparently, it hasn't been picked at all. So that's so that is a first for the Dragoon there coming out there. And yeah, so the other team continuing here. Hopefully, they've made their third ban. manually. Hopefully, we can get confirmation of what that third ban was here. But they've gone for the Drake. They've been very reliant on the Drake. Its properties mean that its DPS can't be neutered. Its tank is very strong, and it's a good all-round battle cruiser. So they've picked that up there.
So with the Dragoon and the Prophecy from Team Johnny, they've picked 2 out of the 3 really core Tech 1 drone ships from Amarr. Of course, the last one, the Armageddon, is not available to them, already banned. Wow, a Scorpion pick from the other team.
Yeah, I think this means we're probably going to be redoing the ban. It's a shame. We could have picked that up manually, unfortunately. So yeah, this is unfortunately, this is unfortunate.
Okay, yeah, confirmation that that's not the actual pick. We're going to be doing some redoing here. Yeah.
Okay, apparently the tool has taken over for Hoodie's team and is random picking randomly. So we at the first show we did, the tool had a few problems, and we had to basically give up on it during that show. Since that show, nearly 5 shows, we've not had any serious problems. There are a couple of little glitches here and there, but on the very last match of the season, it's failed us, unfortunately. So it looks like we are going to have to restart here. I don't know, Apoth, if you want to, if there's any interesting questions in chat we can kill time with while we resolve this.
Well, yeah, so let's do that. Let's have you guys in chat. If you have any questions about the league, about the tournament, about anything, we do happen to have CCP in channel if you've got any questions for Fozzie, although, keep him nice, please. He is here of his own volition, so be nice.
Can I ask a question to Fozzie?
Please go ahead, Rain, and tell you what, why don't you be in charge of managing the Twitch chat questions?
Okay, Fozzie, what was your tweet about?
Oh, I'm not going to say that. So, for anyone who isn't familiar with what Rain is asking about, a while back, about a week ago now, I tweeted that something big had happened, and that I wanted to congratulate the people involved in it, and didn't want to say what it was because I didn't want to out them. This is something that someone might want to keep secret. And the people involved have not, as far as I know, gone public with the specific thing. So I am not going to out them without their permission. It's I'll say this. I mean, it's big. It's a nice achievement. It's not like finding your way to Jove space secretly. We've been developing an entire extra game or something like that kind of secret. It's a reasonable big thing, not a everything is completely different than what you expected big thing.
All right, blink once if it's the fancy keep star. You saw it here first, folks. I saw how many times he blinked.
So we do have a couple of questions. This might be, I would say, pitched to Elise or Bay, but RD Shaddy asks, when and where do we sign up for the next season?
Right, okay. So basically we'll have an announcement very soon about that. The intention is to run a pre-season qualifying cup on the 21st and 22nd of January. We haven't 100% confirmed these, so don't book time from your family just yet. But if you're interested in taking part in the second season of the championship, then keep your eyes peeled on the eve-nc.uk website. We'll probably have a couple of news articles out there as well. So basically the way it's going to work is we're going to do a single elimination tournament, which will be kind of brutal, but we want to open it up as many teams as possible. So we're going to have a cap of 64 teams that could enter. I think it's unlikely we'll get that many, but I'm hoping we'll get 20-30 teams hopefully sign up, and we're going to have a single elimination tournament, the top 6 of which will be offered a place in the minor league of the next season. So if you are watching this with your corp and you're thinking, well, I could probably have a go at this, I think I'd be pretty good, then recruit a few friends, get in touch with us, and there'll be a Google Docs open relatively shortly for you to sign your team up. It's not too long away, so start thinking now if it's something you're interested in.
All right, and then we have some questions around the ship skins that we are giving out, the IGC Apocalypse skins, and people are asking when will those be available to the teams, as well as the winners picked from Twitch chat?
That is a matter of when we get them, which should be, I'd imagine, just after the championship. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be like an hour from now or something. But I believe Nash can correct me if I'm wrong. Sometime either this week or next week, we should be getting all the prizes delivered. They'll go directly to the teams, and then we have a list of the people who won from Twitch chat. And when we get them, those guys will get them too.
And
That's right.
And I do know they have to be seated on Tranquility, or at least available on Tranquility, before we even have the chance to receive them, I would assume.
Yep. And if you want to know what kind of what they look like in game, you can look at the Typhoon IGC skin currently in game, and they were awarded to the winners of our last event that we held here at EVNT, and you can see how massively stunning they look. And they make the trash can look so much more majestic. It's really great.
It was great seeing some of those skins being used in the stream of the MTACO battle yesterday, actually. Some of the Typhoon Fleet members flying around with the really shiny pimp skins was great.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can really do in those big, giant, massive brawls when there's nothing to fight and nothing to do except for shooting a big structure that wants to kill you at the same time. You just have to swag outrageous. You can just swap between your skins. And thanks to tie-dye, the skin looks really, really cool when it transitions. It's one of those things that happens in dilated time. It's really kind of fun. There aren't that many fun things about tie-dye, but that's one of the really fun things you can do, is just swap skins around. I think perhaps that's like some sort of weird tinfoil theory going on, that tie-dye only happens so people buy ship skins. I heard a whole bunch of people talking about it. I'm sure that's not just me being crazy.
When
that seems like a
buy
real
them,
legitimate thing.
if no one had ever bought any ship skins, the servers would be quantum computers.
I mean, no.
Or be like switching skins.
No, I was saying that tie-dye only exists because shipping or swapping between ship skins, it looks so pretty in tie-dye.
Yeah, that's why Veritas and Masterplan and those guys put it together all the way back then.
Yep, they
It was
knew
the
what
long
was
game.
coming.
Yeah,
it's the CCP 10-year plan. Introduce tie-dye, and then ship skins like 4 years later. I knew you guys had it in you. Anyways, we are just about to redo the banning tool. Actually, I think it just started. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have the teams pick the same picks and bans until the tournament tool broke, and we'll see how that works. If that does not work, we'll just do it the old-fashioned way with pen and paper, and we'll see how that works out. We do know that the other team were sort of angling before their Bizarre Moa ban for the Caldera Rush setup that they really like. Though Team Johnny did have a pretty heads-up play there and banned I believe they banned the Tempest and the Rogue. So those ships won't be available to the other team. So Tony, what do you think is going to happen if the other team, when they have to pick the battleship, right? Because we saw them use the Rogue when they had it, and that was really great when they had it. They swapped over to the Tempest, which seemed like it was a little bit worse in terms of a battleship core pick, and that's not even allowed to them. Do they go Maelstrom, or do they just go something full-on crazy? Because the Raven's still out there, the Maelstrom's still out there, and those are the two ships that kind of fit best. What do you think happens?
Torpfoon with the skin from last time.
Oh, yes. They could actually do the Torpfoon. That would actually be dope as heck. We do know these guys do have some skins from the previous match. That would be pretty fly.
Oh, I think the Raven is probably the obvious pick. It's one of the most banned battleships for a reason. I think it's very rarely not been picked when it's been available and unbanned. Otherwise, yeah, the Maelstrom's okay. It is kind of slow, but it does kind of mimic the Rogue. Doesn't quite have the shield resistance bonus, so it doesn't tank quite as much if it's getting logistics support from the Osprey, but it does do a bit better on its own, and it also does not have cap difficulties like the Rogue might face if it gets neutered out. It can run its guns without needing cap, unlike the Rogue, which, its guns might get turned off if it faces extreme new pressure.
And in terms of banning strategy here, we saw Team Johnny kind of started out with a Tempest ban and an Argo ban, and the other team banned the APOC and Armageddon. Really strong bans, right? And then we saw the other team, you saw them starting to pick up that Merlin, Osprey, Drake core that they've been running so well, and up until their last match. And both these teams, in fact, have been running that core. So you see the other team start picking it. Do you think Team Johnny knows the counter to that setup, and that's where they're going to go with it? Or, I mean, do you think they're just going to force the other team into a weak battleship? And that could go to either of the analysts, CZB, Fozzie, Suetonia, or Bay.
Sorry, I'm not entirely sure whether they're going to have a game plan for that. I assume they would have been at least thinking about it. They obviously have been leaning towards this armor team, but yeah, it'll be a tough one, I think, to be able to fully counter.
And it does seem like although the Dragoon seemed like a really bizarre pick, as Bay was mentioning, it's one of the very few times we've seen a Dragoon. In the minor league finals, in fact, saw Provishots, the team that ended up coming from the bottom of the league and finishing second because of their performances yesterday. They took a Slasher and a Thrasher as some of their first two picks. And the Slasher is the ship, we've never seen it in the major leagues. The only team to have ever fielded the Slasher, because it's an afterburner frigate, is the Provishots team. And we were all just kind of goofing around on like, oh, why would they pick a Slasher? That's so ridiculous. And they ended up winning in such spectacular fashion and just floored everyone. It was great. So some of these ridiculous clowny ships, they're not always just sort of goofs. Sometimes they can serve a real strong purpose. And you can definitely, if you practice a lot as a team, you can be pretty sure that no one's ever going to ban the Dragoon or the Slasher because no one's ever really fielded them. So maybe that's their secret weapon, is this little tiny Dragoon. The Dragoon that could.
Yeah, another strength of bringing these like unused ships is that teams don't practice against them, and they might just dismiss them, and there might be a small sliver of worth in those ships that they haven't tested against and get caught out by them.
But yeah, that is for sure. I'm personally excited to see how it works out, and we do believe that the Dragoon is actually the ship that will be picked. It looked like the tool ended up breaking for the other team at the third ban stage. It doesn't seem like Team Johnny had the same issue because they banned a Rogue. Maybe the tournament tool or the banning tool just became self-aware and knew exactly what to pick and ban for these teams. Like maybe there's some sort of hive mind that was created. Who knows? But
you've just been training it with these tournaments to be able to win at future tournaments.
Yeah, exactly.
In the community news, Kyle Aparthos, wonderful CSM member of ours, fleet of SMA, now of his own Alliance Apotheosis, was hit by a car this evening. He's on the way to get medical attention at the moment. It sounds like he's doing all right, but obviously we all send our best wishes to him that he feels better soon and that the car gets its comeuppance for daring to hit our wonderful man.
Cars, man. Where do they get off? What have they ever done? Jerk-ass cars. Maybe it was a
Speaking of things that are going, off of artificial intelligence, it could be that the car had a mind of its own, and it's actually after the CSM. This could be concerning.
Maybe that's what took out Mr. Hyde, and now they're going after Kyle.
All right.
You should get somewhere safe.
Oh, he dropped out of the CSM just in time to be
Nash
targeted.
needs to get somewhere safe.
Kind of.
Oh yeah.
So we do have our picks in now. We did it with the old pen and paper method
Nice.
right afterwards. So the other team chose Merlin, Corax, Osprey, Drake, which is what we saw. And they ended up picking as their last ship the Hyperion. Team Johnny, however, went with the Punisher, Dragoon, Executor, Prophecy, and Abaddon. So the Abaddon is their last battleship core. And the last battleship core for the other team is a Hyperion. So we will be seeing a very kind of funky little setup. Something similar that we saw Volta do, which taking a Hyperion with a shield team. Maybe the other team were inspired by Volta's performance. I don't know. It's gonna be a little bit wild. Suetonia, what do you make of these last battleship picks?
Yeah, the Hyperion is kind of strange, although the Hyperion is one of those battleships that can create a lot of pressure by itself. You know, just MJD into the back line. It does have a really solid local tank. It doesn't necessarily need the logistic support. I think it will die if it does, like, MJD into, like, a team with open arms for it. But I think what we've seen the Hyperion do is, in these teams where it's picked, like, with shield support, is that it just, like, goes in, it just creates a lot of havoc and disrupts the enemy team, while the other ships kind of get like a free pass to do what they want. Like the Drake and the Osprey will kind of probably have like a lot of pressure taken off them as the other team has to like run away from this the Hyperion that's like going to be in the back line.
Yep, and the Hyperion is actually the ship that does have the MJD on it as a battleship. It does have quite a lot of maneuverability for a big, ugly battleship, and it is quite tanky, as we saw in Volta's match previously. So it should be pretty interesting. And is one of those ships that we haven't really seen too much that I know Bay expected to see a lot of because he thought it was quite strong. It does suffer in terms of tracking, as the Abaddon is wont to do, but it can pump out quite a lot of DPS at a pretty respectable range. It's essentially, it's a tankier poor man's Apocalypse, really, if you want to put it that way. Has a pretty good projection for a battleship. It is Mega Beam fit, so it can, not tacky, so it doesn't really capture itself too much, but really can reach out and touch you in this sort of thing, in this format. And against an Osprey by the other team, that is something to look out for sure. As we go back onto this, man, what do you kind of make from these setups here? We have the other team going with a setup that they're very comfortable with, barring a battleship, but you know we've seen that work before. And Team Johnny going with this kind of oddball, sort of really tanky, just in your face battleship core.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the Hyperion plus shield combo, we basically just saw almost the same thing. So we know that that's effective. The Corax is kind of an odd choice, and the Osprey's a little bit slow. But overall, they're going to throw the Hyperion out there, or they're going to MJD it, and they're going to do some tricks, and it's going to be kind of exactly what you think it's going to be. But then on the other side, you've got a Battle Chicken, aka the Prophecy, but the Battle Chicken's a way cooler name. A Dragoon, that's an ECM ship with really no ACM whatsoever. And then, the Abaddon. And these are powerful ships with as much tank as essentially you can put into the class, plus the Punisher too, which is the same category. So, that Hyperion and the Drake and the Corax, they're going to be sitting there just smashing at a wall. Like, brick by brick, they're going to need like a little pickaxe and just going to have to smash it down. So, no matter what, I expect this match to take at least a few minutes before we even have a clue who's really going to do damage to kill something. I think the Osprey and the Executor probably are the best choices for that initial primary if you can get past what is a pretty tanky wall of doom, either the Hyperion Merlin combo or the Punisher Prophecy Abaddon combo. Either way, it's gonna be fun to watch these guys just smash at each other.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited to see the sort of the team captains and what they're gonna do. Battle Dog, he was really good in the Tempest earlier today. He almost brought the team back. Brought the win back for his team, but couldn't just do enough fast enough. But his piloting was superb. Hoodie Mafia did really, really disturbingly well earlier today as well. So it should be interesting to see these two pilots who know each other very well, who've flown with each other before, just to see how they perform. And the other team also has some very talented pilots. Keelan Darklight, who won the Amar Championship, is on the other team as well. So it'll be interesting to see what ship he is flying. And I'm going to actually pass it over to Bay Arche now, who's going to go over some of the setups and the last bands that they decide to go with.
There it goes. A little bit tense there for a second. So basically, the banning tool broke, and then one team was not entirely happy with restarting from scratch because they'd on doing their picks and bans and giving away their kind of plan. And the other team really wanted to start from where they left off, basically where the banning tool broke. So we've made a ruling, and basically we've ended up both teams are happy with it. So we've actually done the picks and bans manually, and we're going to have Hoodie's team in the Merlin, Corax, Osprey, Drake, and Hyperion. and Battle Dog with Punisher, Dragoon, Execra, Prophecy. I think that's first time we've seen a Prophecy possibly, and Abaddon. So two quite kind of new setups. Apologies for my spelling there. I have linked the setups in chat. I do struggle with typing sometimes. So yeah, hopefully the match will get underway shortly. We're just letting everyone cool off and be ready to go. And we see actually the teams landing on grid here.
Yeah, the teams, even though after we got everything sorted, these guys are the consummate professionals. They got in their ships really quickly. Obviously, I think the other team kind of knew what they wanted to get in entering this match, as did Team Johnny. So I'm kind of excited to see exactly how this goes down. It should be pretty good. Fozzie, as we were mentioning before, between these two teams, like the other team kind of has a pretty firm hold over what core they're taking. Do you think this Hyperion is going to do what they have been doing with the Rogue, or is it just going to be kind of an entirely new strategy that they'll have to take?
I think you could fly it very much like the Rogue. It obviously won't get as much benefit out of your Logi, but it's going to have a much stronger local
I'm
tank.
gonna have to cut you off there, Fuzzy, I'm afraid, because the teams are ready to go. And I think everyone wants to watch the match. We will hear a fantastic analysis after the match. But we're handing over now to Suetonia and Rain.
Hi, I'm Suetonia, and I'm joined by Rain, and I'm here to introduce the other team. They have Hyperion, Drake, Osprey, Corax, and Merlin. What can you tell us about Team Johnny, Rain?
Yeah, so Team Johnny brought the Abaddon, Prophecy, Execure, Dragoon, and Punisher, and they all warped in at 30.
Yeah, the other team have the Merlin, the Hyperion, and the Drake at 0, whereas the Osprey is 30 behind him, and the Corax is at max range. The Corax is going to try and snipe at the back ends, while I guess the Hyperion, the Drake, and the Merlin are going to rush right into Team Johnny.
Yep, and we have 10 seconds on the clock, and even though they are kind of at range, they're at a 90-degree angle, so they're slightly closer, I would say about like 40 kilometers, than what we normally would expect.
Yeah, the match has started. We are actually seeing Team Johnny actually go in. We see these red approaching arrows, so they're all actually going in. It's interesting to see what they're going to prime. We see a web on the Punisher, Prophecy taking damage, Dragoon taking damage. There's a lot of damage coming into Team Johnny, whereas the Drake is scrammed the web. There's not really that much damage coming into the other team right now.
Yeah, so Team Johnny is actually focusing on the Osprey being piloted by Oneva by some guy named Michael. But yeah, so they're actually, wow, they just lost their Dragoon, and it wasn't long for this world.
Yeah, the Dragoon is a bit tankier than the Algos, I believe, but it can't stand up to the Hyperion, Drake, and Merlin at 0.
No, yeah, both teams rushed in immediately instead of one of them pulling back. The Osprey is actually at half armor, but he's using his local rep to try and keep himself up.
Yeah, the Punisher and Prophecy taking some damage. The Punisher is grapple and normal webbed, so he's probably going to have his speed reduced quite quickly. Osprey is still tanking like a champion, but his ASB is going to be on reload pretty soon. As the Osprey goes down, it's going to be hard to call. The Prophecy seems quite alright right now. There's no pressure onto the Execra so far.
Yeah, the Osprey does also have heavy rep bots on him, Tech 2 rep bots on him, so he does have some help from his team to stay alive, but obviously it's not helping him out too much. Actually, both Logi ships are actually kind of hanging out near each other, which I find pretty hilarious, as their battleships duke it out, battleships and battlecruisers duke it out.
Yeah, the Abaddon we haven't quite seen, but he's actually just chilling kind of like 30 outside to get max tracking on his beams. And the Osprey's down for the other team. It's going to be really close. Looks like the Prophecy is going to go down pretty soon. It'd be interesting to see what Team Johnny choose to primary next. We see a web on the Merlin. Once the Merlin's gone, getting rid of that web, and the blaster DPS, which is quite relevant, might help the Prophecy or the other ships kite out. The Abaddon has beams, so he doesn't want to be anywhere near the Drake. The Merlin goes down for the other team, so Team Johnny kind of ahead right now. I'm not sure how long this Prophecy is going to last for, though.
Yeah, and they did lose their Osprey for the other team, so now they're just relying on purely whatever buffer they have. The Prophecy is kind of holding the Execure, is keeping him alive pretty decently, and the Abaddon's sniping from afar. Not quite sure how long the the other team's going to do though without their Logi and without being able to take down this prophecy.
Yeah, Battle Dog, the team captain for Team Johnny, is slowly bleeding structure, but the Drake is entering about 60% shields. The Prophecy's probably going to be going down pretty soon here, and the Prophecy's gone, so it's just Hyperion, Drake, Corax versus Team Johnny. The Corax has been webbed. I guess the Punisher split off to go and tackle him. It's going to be really close, I think.
Yeah, and now the obviously the Drake and the Hyperion are a little bit more close range compared to say the Abaddon, so they have to burn directly towards him in order to get in range to be able to apply.
Yeah, the
As we
Abaddon
see-
is quite tanky.
Yeah, we see the Drake piloted by Hoodie Mafia burning straight out, but taking a lot of damage for that. The Hyperion slowly but surely getting there as well.
Yeah, the Drake is quite has a really big signature radius for a battle cruiser, and because it has a bubble tank, large shield extenders, and shield rigs, it's probably not going to be able to go under the guns of this Abaddon, even though the Abaddon doesn't have great tracking with mega beam lasers. The Corax is slowly going down. I think it's just the Punisher that's on him. I
Yeah, the
guess,
Corax- The Corax and the Punisher seem to be attempting to 1v1, although I don't know why, but the Corax isn't shooting back. I just see the Punisher lasers going at him. Not quite sure what the Corax is intending to do since he's pretty far off from everything else, including that Execure. I figured he'd try and tackle it.
No, the Corax doesn't have tackle. I think it's long range fit. I think what the Corax wanted to do is just snipe. It looks like the Punisher went off to tackle him, but this is leaving the Abaddon open to getting caught by the Hyperion because the Punisher can't screen for the Abaddon, which is probably what he wanted to do. He was already caught by the Drake, however, so maybe it is a lost cause. The Abaddon is grappler webbed now. It's going to be interesting to see how long this Abaddon can stay up. It does have the resistance bonus like the Prophecy, so it might be able to tank as long as the Prophecy did. The Corax about to go into armor. The Punisher only has on bonus autocannons on it, so it doesn't do too much DPS, but it probably will go down here before the Abaddon goes down.
Yeah, we do notice the Execure is not concerned about that Punisher at all. He's just trying to keep this Abaddon alive. He's actually doing pretty well since, I mean, nobody's actually chasing him. He's just kind of able to sit there and manage on his own.
Yeah, I think it's all up to Nuke Cave. Can he take this Drake down before he goes down himself? I think if the Drake goes down, I think there's a good chance that the Execure can just kite out the Hyperion and keep the Abaddon alive the entire time. But if he survives and takes down the Abaddon, I think the other team will take it. It's really, really close. Corax now into structure. Looks like the Punisher's autocannon's going to work on him.
Yeah, we do see a lot of heavy maintenance bots, heavy rep bots on this Drake. So even though the Logi is dead, I believe it's the Hyperion drones are actually trying to keep this Drake alive, and they're working really well together, this Drake and Hyperion.
So it looks like the Punisher kind of had a change of mind. He burned away from the Corax. Looks like the Corax decided to swap onto the Punisher to start shooting him. Maybe the Punisher's doing a good job here by taking away that Corax DPS from the Abaddon, maybe buying the Abaddon a few precious seconds. Looks like the Drake is tanking here. I guess the Hyperion must have shield Logibots.
Yeah, so the Drake is tanking it, but he's also orbiting this Abaddon at 500, so he's taking advantage of the lack of the Abaddon's tracking, pretty much avoiding getting shot at, as well as utilizing those armor bots. The Corax just finished off the Punisher. He beat him in that 1v1, even though he's barely bleeding. He's barely alive in structure with only 5% left.
Yeah, the Drake does have heavy shield bots on him right now. Looking at the Abaddon, it does seem like he is tracking, so the Punisher's down now, so that web won't be able to come back in and web the Drake to help the Abaddon's tracking if it is an issue.
Yeah, so now it's just kind of like a race, I guess, because the Hyperion and the Drake, the battlecruiser battleship, is obviously more points than the Abaddon Execure, which is battleship cruiser. So they're winning on points, but they obviously can't just sit and look pretty. They want to be able to knock all these points off the field in order for a bigger win.
I believe they'll win regardless, but the Abaddon is really close to bleeding structure. I think the other team are going to take this. I think just the heavy shield rep bots from the Hyperion just caught them off guard and they weren't able to kill them.
Yeah, and the Execure, even though he hasn't been bothered at all during this whole time, his reps were not able to keep this Abaddon alive. The Drake and the Hyperion are giving out so much damage and they're able to apply it so that the Hyperion is actually going to die. We have good fights in local, so looks like the victory goes to the other team.
Yeah, the Abaddon's down. The Execure is not going to be able to do anything by himself. even if he does have 5 medium damage drones. So it looks like the win will go to the other team. Really significant win here, and I guess Volta will be taking second place. There's a big difference in skins between these. I think it's over 60 skins that marks the difference between first and third place. So there's definitely, like, easily between 60 to 300 billion potentially just on this one match.
We see, even though we have 2 minutes left, we see the Execure not giving up hope and attempting to burn away, but this Drake is somehow faster than him and is able to apply the web and slow him down as he's using his drones and his missiles to kill him.
Yeah, the Execure already has the afterburner, so he's probably not going to be able to Edge of Glory before he gets caught by the Hyperion and the Execure. Looks like he'll be going down momentarily.
Yeah, but that was really good play right there. It kind of showed how the Korax versus the Punisher. So the Punisher has a web, whereas the Korax really has no tackle. So the Punisher spending his time with the Korax and then dying to the Korax, he wasn't able to actually use that tackle to any sort of advantage to help the Abaddon apply his DPS.
Yeah, although it's really hard to call in these situations. Maybe the Punisher occupying the Korax and taking away that 200 DPS was more worthwhile. It seemed like the Abaddon was tracking the Drake fine, but it seemed like the heavy shield bots kind of pushed him over the edge, so the Abaddon couldn't break him anymore. The Drake does have a lot of resistances based on the hull bonus that it gets, as well as I think it has an invo and another shield mod. So it has a really, really high resist profile, so these 5 heavy Tech 2 shield bots can keep him up for a long time. There's the extra done. The match is going to go to the other team, and congratulations to them for winning the Major League.
Yep, and with that, we'll send it back to Apophany in the studio.